folks, let me go ahead and, of course, start my timer as well because we want to make sure that we respect everyone's time on what we've got going. Just a huge thanks again before I get into what I'm going to share today to Microsoft EDU as well, Q Inc. This has been just a phenomenal deal, and it really was a game changer, to be honest with you. And when Microsoft EDU and Q came together and said, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's do something really cool. Um, this was just something that when we talked about the scope of it and I became aware of some of the things that were being developed and planned behind the scenes, I just have to tell you all that I was just like, absolutely, I want to be a part of that. It was just phenomenal. And we're so absolutely honored to reach literally around the world to make an impact through what we share and through what we have going. And it's just a phenomenal time. And so happy to see familiar faces. Thank you guys. You guys could be anywhere, but you chose to go ahead and spend time here with me on the call and on the session. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I am absolutely honored. So I think I know that guy that's on the screen, right? Yeah, his name's Vernon Wright. That's me. We'll talk a little bit more about me for those of you that may not know about me and about a little bit about my background. We'll do that here in a little bit. But of course, obviously, part of Global EdTech Academy. I like saying that, Global EdTech Academy, sponsored by Microsoft EDU and Q. I'll mention this a little bit later as we go through the time of sharing and exchanging ideas today. But of course, if you say, you know what, Vernon, this is really cool. I want to find out more information about what's going on. Of course, you see the website address there down at the bottom of the screen, q.org/Microsoft. All right, so let's go. So today's session, how do we make addition by subtraction part of our leadership DNA? How many of you know that you have DNA and you have leadership DNA in you? And you might say, you know what, Vernon, you know, I'm not really sure because I'm not really a leader and I don't have a certain kind of title. And what I'm going to tell you is this, and some of you may be huge fans of John C. Maxwell. If you're not, he's definitely someone whose work you need to plug into. But John C. Maxwell just basically says it as this: if you have influence, you're a leader. And I will tell you that I've been around some people that have had many degrees, and I'm a fan of advanced education, have a master's degree myself. But I will tell you that you cannot buy influence. Influence is earned. True influence is earned. And it's influence that really is the game changer. And so if you have influence, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and say, tomorrow morning or later tonight, when you get ready to get ready for bed, brush your teeth, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hello, influence, because influence is what you are and what you have. You guys are phenomenal. So there you see Reflections of a Leader series down there at the bottom. This is a series that I am absolutely thrilled and happy to be able to bring to the Global EdTech Academy. And really, I will tell you that this was born out of, and the genesis for this was for me to be able to go ahead and share about these experiences over time, but to do it in a way that really was in a cohesive manner. And there was really this incremental approach in terms of just building after each session and really using what we call in the business prior knowledge. How many of you know that applies for adults as well as for students? And so happy to be able to do that. And so there are more episodes, more installments. There are more sessions coming in this Reflections of a Leader series. Great stuff. So at this moment in history for our nation and for our world, you guys know that between the racial tensions that have been happening in this world, that have been a focus not only in the news nationally, but globally, as well as this thing called a pandemic, that we as a world will never, ever forget 2020. And one of the things that I want to share is just really for me is a special thank you to Microsoft EDU and Q Inc. for their global commitment to equity and to developing educators worldwide. I have to tell you, folks, I've been around a lot of people that have talked about what quote unquote leadership is, and they have expressed that maybe they perceive themselves to be authentic voices on the subject of leadership. But here's what real leadership is. One of the things it is understanding what something is in real time and shifting paradigms to authentically, accurately, and in a very impactful way address and bring about solutions for whatever that thing is. And so Microsoft EDU and Q have absolutely done that. And so just thrilled to be a part of what we're doing. And of course, down there at the bottom, you see the hashtags GETA, Microsoft EDU, We Are Q. And of course, the website, in case you'd like to get more information about not only the sessions that I have that are coming up, because there are more sessions as a part of this series, Reflections of a Leader. If you'd like to also to find out about the other phenomenal speakers, because there are some great speakers that are also scheduled for today, you want to make sure you plug into it. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the best pieces of advice that I ever received from multiple mentors, and so if I received it from multiple mentors, that lets you know it's legit, right? Was this: understanding the value of a situation in real time. And this is a real time situation that we can all plug into. So, yeah, I think I know that guy. Hello and welcome again. I'm Vernon Wright, known on social media, on Twitter, very much so as @ the right leader. That's me as we go through today. If you're not following me already, which it's great to see familiar faces that are following me on Twitter, this is great. If you're not, would be absolutely honored to have you as a follower over on Twitter @ the right leader, and welcome you into the PLN conversation. How many of you know that a PLN, although it's not really the focus of what we're talking about today, a PLN is a game changer? So get plugged in. Would love to have you be a part of what we're doing over there on Twitter. As we go through, I would love to hear about and see post about things that you said, you know what, Vernon, this was impactful. It resonated with me. This was powerful. I just absolutely had to share it with everybody out there on Twitter and my colleagues and my friends so they could also benefit from it. Would absolutely love for you to go ahead and tag me on that @ the right leader, as you see there. And of course, as well, right? As well, make sure that you go ahead and use the hashtags there: Microsoft EDU, GETA, We Are Q, and of course, as well, you guys have heard it before. I'll go ahead and say it again. If you're looking for information on the Global EdTech Academy, quite simply go to q.org/Microsoft. All right, so you're probably wondering, who is this Vernon Wright guy, right? He's got this microphone thing, man, and he's talking and all of this kind of good stuff, right? Who is he? Well, I'm the founder, proud and honored and humbled to be the founder of ZeroApologyZone.com, which is a website that I use along with my team to promote messages that are uplifting, messages that are focused, messages that inspire, messages that elevate, because what we're about doing is connecting with people, making an impact, and helping them to go ahead and scale the great work that they're doing so all of us can be a part of that. And that's how we make our contributions to making this world a better place. Entrepreneur, part of my background before I got into education was in business. My bachelor's degree is in economics and finance, so I'm always a business kind of guy, always will be. A speaker, that's what I'm doing with you all here today. So humble to have you guys with me. You are awesome. Thank you. A consultant, very blessed and grateful to have opportunities to work with different people to really go ahead and have them identify what are some things that we can do to go to the next level in our endeavors. Sometimes those endeavors are in the sector of an education. Sometimes they are even beyond education. So very grateful for those opportunities. Performance coach, love working with clients one-on-one to help them go ahead and go to the next level, including leaders. A leader, been involved, very grateful to have been involved in different levels of education. Started out many, many years ago as a teacher. I've had the opportunity to experience different roles as time progressed. So very thankful for that. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the hashtag #ZeroApologyZone. We use that hashtag quite a bit over on Twitter. Me and my team do. All right. So the 5 R's of effective instruction. You're probably saying, hey, Vernon, I really wasn't expecting the 5 R's of effective instruction. This title is something else. Well, I mentioned the 5 R's of effective instruction because that really is the first session that I did here as part of the Global EdTech Academy that really kicked off everything else. And it's a precursor to the Reflection of a Leader series. So if you didn't catch that, and you say, hey, man, Vern, I missed out on that. I hate I did. Is there a replay available? Absolutely. So just go to q.org/GETA recording. I'll show you that website here in a second, but the 5 hours of effective instruction, and that will go ahead and take you over to Q Inc.'s YouTube page. All right. So what relevance do you have as a leader? That was our last session. If you weren't able to join us, that's okay. Guess what? Microsoft EDU and Q, we have you covered. Catch the replay there at q.org/GETA recording. Again, q.org/GETA recording. What relevance do you have as a leader? Some of those things I will be sharing as we go throughout today from the session that we had before. Great points. Unfortunately, we have time constraints, so I can't do a full review of everything we talked about in that session, but you will be seeing some things from that session because, again, we have a cumulative effect that we're working on here in terms of building from one session to another. All right, so question time. If money was of no concern, where would you choose to take a vacation to? I love asking this question each time that I'm in a session because it gets us to really kind of think about, hey, where would I take a vacation to? And in some cases, maybe we need to stop and think about, hey, have I taken a vacation lately, right? And I love the blue waters in the back. So if you would in the chat, just take a couple of minutes, take a second or two to say, you know what, Vern, let me go ahead and type in, if money was of no concern, where would you take a vacation to? All right. James says, thinking about taking a cruise today because of the blue water. Yes, that blue water. I am a fan of crystal clear blue water. That's why when I was putting together this set of slides, the slide deck, I said, yeah, I've got to absolutely go ahead and include this one. It's good stuff. Switzerland. Yes. One of the things that is great in Switzerland is skiing. And so I will one day make it to Switzerland. Dubai, yes. ACL, very good stuff. Dubai, great country as well. Lots of great things going on over there. How many of you know that learning just doesn't take place in what we would call a quote-unquote classroom? Learning takes place in this thing called the world. The globe is the classroom. Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and go forward. Great answers there. Great answers. Greece. Yes, Greece. Lots of history there as well. All right. So what are some of the favorite Microsoft apps that you use that enhance your daily endeavors? Those of you that have been on sessions with me before, you know that I go through a couple of slides here, 2 or 3 slides, to just go ahead and share with you all some things that are common ones. And then also, too, some other things that maybe some other apps that maybe are not common to you. You may have not even known that Microsoft owned and was a part of some of these apps. So in the chat right now, if you would just go ahead and type in, what Microsoft apps would you say, you know what, Vernon, personally and or professionally, I just have to have these apps. They make my life a go, right? If I didn't have these apps, I don't know what I would do. So if you would in the chat, just go ahead and drop in. What are some of the apps that you say are just absolutely essential apps? I will go ahead and tell you, James says Word and PowerPoint, absolutely. Which I will tell you 2 of the apps that I'm using right now with you all. One is PowerPoint, obviously, and the other one is Teams, Microsoft Teams. You see there, nothing can stop a team. And I've used a lot of different web conferencing, video conferencing applications, and Microsoft Teams is my favorite one. And to me, the most intuitive one, and the one that is just absolutely phenomenal when you talk about the features that are fully integrated. They're fully integrated within Teams. So especially if you are a person that uses the Office 365 suite, good stuff. Microsoft, yes, good stuff. ICL. If your district is a Microsoft district, chances are pretty good that you have Office 365. And so one of the things that you and I can talk about offline, or even after this session has ended, is we can talk about the power of Office 365. And what I have found over the years, and having worked with different educational entities, that were Office 365 subscribers. They had Office 365 licenses, right? Is that they really didn't even understand the full power of everything that they had. And a great, great, rich conversation. Would love to go ahead and get into that now. Of course, we have time constraints, but let me just say this. If you are part of an organization that has Office 365, it's time to uncover all of the gems that maybe are hidden in it to you. And we want to uncover those so you can leverage those. Microsoft To Do, this is a sleeper one that a lot of people don't know about, and they really need to quit sleeping on it because it's a good one. I personally have it on all of my devices. Syncs across multiple devices, laptop, tablet, cell phone, what have you. And it's really, really good. Of course, can let you go through, do your to-do list. Obviously, you can have all the different things, all the different categories. Great, great stuff. Very intuitive. How many of you know that it's really important to be able to pick up a device, see the application, and say, you know what? Let me just go ahead and plug into this, and let me connect to it, and let me use it. I don't want to have to go read an instruction manual or spend 20 minutes reading something just to be able to use an application. Microsoft To Do is very intuitive, easy to pick up and use. Here's one that maybe you didn't know about, Mile IQ. If you've ever tracked mileage, for whatever the reasons are, right? Professional or personal, Mile IQ is a part of the Microsoft family. So maybe a little bit of trivia there that you didn't know about. Great application. I personally have used Mile IQ before. Very intuitive, very easy to pick up, very easy to use, and great output too. If you need a spreadsheet or anything like that to go ahead and compile all the information. So guiding question. I will tell you that one of the most, and this is not what we're going to talk about, but if you're taking notes, this is a place where you may want to go ahead and take notes. Over the years and in various roles, as a teacher and in different roles, leadership-wise, I have been so blessed, and I'm so grateful to have been around mentors that taught me well about the power of questioning, because I'm going to tell you right now that questioning is a game changer. And we need to be using questioning more as we progress throughout our careers and our endeavors. And questioning is one of the things that really can level up. It really can increase our ability to make more of an impact. So a guiding question does just that. It guides our thinking, right? And so one of the things that I do is I share this guiding question in each of my sessions. It's the same guiding question. And notice how, and I'm going to jump out of my speaker role for a second and kind of go into maybe more of a mentor role real quick, is notice how even though it's the same guiding question that I've used in different sessions, it's applicable to each one of the topics. And so a good guiding question has a broad appeal to it. It has a broad base to it. It has the ability to be relevant and pertinent to the different things that we're doing. I don't want to get too ahead of myself and give you a sneak peek on some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about. The guiding question is this: how can we use innovation and empowerment in our roles to advance student achievement? We have a lot of people talking about empowerment, a lot of people talking about innovation. So, hey, if we're going to talk about innovation and empowerment, how can we use that to advance student achievement within whatever our roles are that we're in currently as of today? 3 high impact levers for teaching and leadership. If you've been with me before, you've seen these. This will be a refreshing for you. If you have not, this is definitely a place where you will want to go ahead and take notes. I try to share these each time when time allows, where it's applicable for me to go ahead and put these in, because they're really, really impactful. So 3 high impact levers for teaching and leadership. Number 1 is competence. You don't have to know everything, but you do need to know some things. Competence for teaching and leadership. Number 2 is communication. How many of you know that there are many different ways to communicate, but guess what there also is in terms of ways or forms of communication that maybe we don't talk about as much? And this is especially true if you're in any type of leadership, formal leadership position, but really true for everyone. Nonverbal communication. How many of you know that Your ability to go ahead and use honed skills at perceiving and reading and understanding nonverbal communication helped you to make changes in real time. If you've ever done that, where you've been able to read nonverbal communication and say, you know what, Vernon, man, it has helped me, it has saved me. If you would just go ahead and type a 1 in a chat right now. If you've ever said, you know what, Vernon, nonverbal communication, my ability to understand it, if I didn't understand it, wow, I would have been in a bad place, but it helped save me. Yeah, James says a 1. Yeah, this is one of the things that I will tell you for anyone that aspires to go to different levels of leadership. And it's a very subtle thing, right? I mean, when is the last time that somebody sat down and said, we're going to have a professional development over nonverbal communication? It's not something that you hear a lot, right? But just because you don't hear it doesn't lessen its importance any, not at all. If anything, we need to be talking about it more and stressing it more and emphasizing it more. Nonverbal communication. We could talk more about that, but let's get going because we have more stuff that I want to share. Just absolutely excited to share with you all today. And thank you so much again for being here. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here. Number 3 is connection. You need to make a connection with people, right? Yeah. I mean, you can't really do anything, especially anything that's the extraordinary. I like to say it sometimes this way, ordinary with extra put on top, right? You can't do anything that's extraordinary unless you have a connection with people, right? Because you can't do everything in and of yourself. It takes the interconnectedness for us to be able to go ahead and go to the next level. So the same 3 high impact levers, but with a twist. Yeah. If you're familiar with me, you've heard me speak before, you know that sometimes I like to do things with a twist. Same information, but a different perspective. Let me go ahead and say that right now. If you're a leader and or teacher and or educator, really, if you happen to be here on the call or you happen to be watching the replay and you say, you know what, Vernon, I'm not in education at all. I'm in some sector of business or private business, or I'm in some public sector like government, right? This is with a twist. So it's always good for us to look at the same information, but with a different perspective. Some of you right now, that can be part of your blueprint for the 2021 school year. The same information, but with a different perspective. All right, so let's look at those 3 things with a twist. Connection. Oh, well, we talked about connection before, right? Yeah, we did, but let's go ahead and do it with a twist. Here's the game changer. Connection, because a lot of people are saying, yeah, I made a connection, but the real question is this: was it authentic and was it aligned? Was it aligned with what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish in terms of vision and mission and purpose? Was it authentic? Because how many of you know if the authenticity is not there, people are not going to open up to us and really tell us what they're thinking and their hopes and their dreams and their desires and what they want to do and how we can all come together and make this world a better place. They're not going to open up to you and give you that. And I will really tell you this, right? Just real quick. If the connection is not authentic, you're not going to be able to establish sustainable trust. All right, let's go ahead and go on to number 2. Number 2 is impact. A lot of people have asked me over the years, Vernon, what does impact mean? I simply have said over the years, this is what impact is, and I've shared this with my clients that I coach privately, my private coaching clients, is this: impact is simply the value that I add to someone's life. And so if I add value to someone's life, and even deeper than that, not only do I add value to their life, but I'm helping them, whatever it is that my contributions are, right? I'm helping them to accomplish whatever it is that they've set about to do in their life. Whatever their goals are, their dreams, their desires, their hopes, if I've helped them in some way through my contributions to make those things a reality in their life, I've had an impact. I've added value. Sometimes that's simply an affirming word, because a person would like for that day, if they had a goal for the day, maybe their goal for the day was to feel better about themselves. An affirming word, that's impact, that's value. Number 3, scale. When you do great things, guess what happens? We need to think about scale, because great things happening in one place really should be what? Great things happening in all of the places. If you've been involved in the school business, specifically in the leadership business, but even as a teacher as well, really for anyone involved in education, if you've ever worked at a school where you turn the school around, maybe the school was in a place that wasn't maybe the most desired of places, and you, along with the staff, you help to turn the school around and take it to what we would call in the business a high performing school. Guess what senior leadership wants to know? Two things. Number one, what did you do? Tell us step by step. And number two, how can we get other schools to adopt those same processes, systems, and actions, right? And that's even though sometimes senior leaders and leaders at all levels for that matter, even though sometimes they don't mention scale, because scale is not a term that we talk a lot about in education, even though they don't mention scale, that's what they're speaking of, which is how do we take this experience that's really great, that's really phenomenal, and make it where others can take advantage of it. They can avail themselves of it, right? Love to say that word, avail themselves of it. All right, so big question. What does addition by subtraction mean within the context of our learning today? I kind of switched it up a little bit on you there. What does addition by subtraction mean within the context of our learning today? If you would, in the chat, just put in the chat, just say, hey, Vernon, this is what I think addition by subtraction means. What does addition by subtraction mean within the context of our learning today? Looking forward to seeing what the responses are. What does addition by subtraction mean within the context of our learning today? Take a few moments and just go ahead and type in the chat. Add value, subtract ego. I like that, Patsy. I like that. It means taking off challenges to add value. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is awesome. Add things that serve and subtract those that don't. That is spot on. Man, you guys, I knew that you all were a super sharp group. These answers are phenomenal. Just absolutely high level answers. That is good. Yeah, Patsy, I like that one too, that Lisa said. Add things that serve and subtract those that don't. And really, even the answer before that, it means taking off challenges to add values. How many of you know that sometimes we have to break out? I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, right? I think you guys were kind of looking over my shoulder as I was putting together this speaking session with you all, because you're speaking to some of the things that I have planned to share with you. That is great. Cool, cool, cool. What does addition by subtraction mean within the context of our learning today? Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Addition by subtraction simply is this: that by transitioning, right, this concept, that by transitioning away from previous or current practices, we can add value in various realms of our lives. Transitioning away from previous or current practices. Maybe it's something that, maybe you were doing a while ago, but maybe you're still not doing it now, but maybe you just never really moved away from that, right? To something else. Maybe you just never really moved away from that. Or maybe it's something that you're doing right now and you're saying, you know what, Vernon, man, I'm doing it right now and I need to quit it, right? I need to transition away. I like to say transition away because that really places us in a positive frame of thinking. Transition away from, all right? In all realms of our lives, professional and personal. One of the great things that I cherish and I honor so much is the ability to come together with you all here in these sessions and share things that just don't apply to your professional lives. They apply to your personal lives as well, right? And as I'm sitting here and sharing these things with you, sharing and exchanging ideas with you, which even so far has just been, even up to this point, we haven't really gotten into it, has been a rich dialogue already. It's an honor for me because I'm learning alongside you all. What an honor. So relevant. We talked about this one the last time. And you're probably saying, Vernon, what relevant? Where did relevant come from, right? Relevant is one of those pieces that I wanted to go ahead and bring in and leverage from the last session, because in order for us to know a little bit more about addition by subtraction in our professional and personal lives, what do we have to be? We have to be relevant. Okay. You have to have a bearing on the matter at hand. I have to understand what's going on. I have to have a pertinent understanding. And so part of being relevant is understanding, hey, what's going on right now? What's going on? Do I understand what's going on? What's going on in the situation? And really asking yourself, not only are you relevant, but really the biggest thing is this: asking all of us collectively as a group, are we as a group relevant? So that's a big one. All right. So big question. Time to go ahead and engage with you all today again. And what a privilege it is to just read all of your responses in the chat and to see where your thinking is. Because again, I told you, even though I'm the person that maybe is seen as the speaker, I'm learning with you and alongside you. And what an honor that is. What role does addition by subtraction have in addressing issues of equity, especially with regard to technology for students? What role does addition by subtraction have in addressing issues of equity, especially with regard to technology for students? How many of you know that with the conversation around equity that is happening right now, it's a hot topic in our business, right? That maybe there's some things that we need to subtract so we can move forward with adding. What role does addition by subtraction have? If you would, in the chat, just go ahead and type down, put that in there, enter in. What are some things that you think in the business that we are in, really any business, any sector, that we need to really address through addition by subtraction that will help move equity forward with regard to technology? Give you guys a few moments there to go ahead and type that in. What a great chat. What a great chat. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Lisa says here, changing habits that don't serve, not habits that serve. Yeah, we have to do that too as well. I really like that conversation that Patsy is having, and you'll have to go ahead and work with me, and pardon me if I mispronounce your name, but Bankole. Love that, where the both of you, and if you guys have not seen that in the chat, it's a good one, where Patsy and Bankole are saying it's almost like subtracting a negative mindset. And we're going to get into some deeper parts with that. Good stuff. Let's see here. My friend James, he says, making technology accessible to all students, no matter where students are at. Absolutely. And how many of you know that the pandemic has really shifted that to where it's not only something people should be doing, it's something they have to do what? To really address the realities of the situation. We just talked about that with being relevant, right? You have to have a bearing. You have to understand what's happening in real time. You have to be pertinent. Leveling the playing field of technology and literacy. Yes. Let's see. That's good. Okay. We got you there, Lisa. No problem. Let's see what Bankole says. Bankole says, okay, I'm from Nigeria, where right now there is a disparity between public and private schools. Private schools are using technology during the pandemic. Public school students are not. One of the reasons I just love, first of all, thank you so much for really sharing that from Nigeria and really sharing that perspective. Because a lot of times, guess what we can basically kind of lull ourselves into, right? We can lull ourselves into, and this is why community like we are right here on this session is so important, because we help to keep each other focused, and we help to keep our vision broadened and open, right? So that we can always be able to go ahead and have this impact and go to the next level and reach more people. A lot of times we might be thinking, well, this is just an issue that's here in my locale. Maybe it's just an issue in my region, my state, or maybe my country. This is a worldwide issue, ladies and gentlemen. Worldwide. This is global. To me, it means add technology tools that add value and showcase the students' voices, and then subtract tools that don't. Yeah, I will tell you right now, because of the things that have been happening in our world in the year of 2020 so far, there are some things that need to be subtracted, so there are some things that can be added. And let me say that one again. There are some things that need to be subtracted so that there are some things that can be added, not only in our professional lives, but our personal lives as well. And how many of you know that professional and personal lives, there's always this convergence between the two? I love that. ICL says our students live in remote areas where there is no connectivity service. Let me go ahead and say this too, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, ICL. I believe that there is a time coming very, very, very soon, my opinion, just mine, just speaking for myself, where broadband access will be considered a necessity and part of infrastructure, just like we look at electricity, water, gas, and other things. I believe that that time is coming very, 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 very quickly, where not only will we hold that belief, but because I believe that we all hold that belief now, that is really something that is a right. It is something that we all should have access to. I believe that the time is coming very soon where that will play out, where that infrastructure will be built out to make that happen. A lot of dead spots, unfortunately. Yeah, says even with Wi-Fi hotspots and Chromebooks, there is no accessibility. Right, and this really points to, although I am not a technology officer, I'm not a CTO, Chief Technology Officer, this really points out to the need for us to really expand our thinking and our reach so that we can go ahead and build access. How many of you know that even if you wanted to scale great education and lessons, if there's no infrastructure, you're not able to do that. So guess what we all just really walked up on as an epiphany or a revelation in this session? To be able to authentically live out scale in our lives, what do we have to have? We have to have infrastructure. Infrastructure is a part of what is a part of what makes that happen. Infrastructure is a part of that. All right. So let's go back in time to 1 year ago today. 1 year ago today. I want you to think about that. I believe, let me go ahead and take a look at my watch. Yeah, it's here in the United States, Dallas Fort Worth area. It is, let me look at it again, make sure we're official, June the 27th. So let's go ahead and go back in time. Let's get in our time machine and go back in time, starting at June the 27th of 2020, and go back to June 27th, 2019. If you remember what you were doing that day, take yourself back to that time. If you remember who you were hanging out with, that's great. Maybe you were enjoying hanging out with family and friends. Maybe you were at work. Maybe you were out shopping. Maybe having dinner with someone. Just want to take you back to that, right? So let's go back in time to 1 year ago today. Okay. Now, here's what I want to share with you all. Let me get my slides here together in the right direction, right? So let's go back to 1 year ago in your life. This is the setting. What are some things that you've subtracted that even though they appeared to be subtraction at the time, they turned out to be addition over the last year in your life? What are some things that you've subtracted that even though you said, you know what, Vernon, at the time, I thought for sure this was a total subtraction kind of deal, that as time progressed, you said, you know what, Vernon, it looked like subtraction in real time. It turned out to be addition over the last year in my life. If you would go ahead and type that in the chat, what are some things that over the course of the last year, you've said, you know what, Vernon, when it happened, I thought it was subtraction. It turned out to be addition. What are some uplifting things? Learning the magic of Twitter and DBC books. Absolutely. Throwing a shout out if they are listening. Dave and Shelley Burgess, and I've said this before and I will say it again. Thank you, Dave and Shelley Burgess, for answering the call and literally starting your business at a kitchen table. That was part of the inspiration for me in starting my business at my kitchen table. And, it's grown from there. And so, of course, DBC Books, they have grown into literally an international powerhouse in educational publishing. Great stuff. I will tell you one that maybe people don't think about as much within this realm, right? Can I share that with you all here? Here's one. Maybe in your personal life, you cut down on sugar, or you gave up sugar, or you made some type of change in your diet. Maybe you said, you know what, Vernon, I thought at the time when I made that change, oh my goodness, that was subtraction, Vernon, because I thought there was no way I'm going to be able to live without this, or this is going to be difficult. Maybe you went through all of those different things in your mind. And 1 year later, after you transitioned away from those things that you gave up, you're looking at yourself in the mirror right now today. This is really powerful. And you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're a different person. You're better for what you transitioned away from. And Sometimes we don't see the value of that completely in real time. We're kind of having this hope and this faith that, hey, what I'm transitioning away from, this is going to turn out to be a gain in the future. And so I just wanted to go ahead and ask that and share that with you all question wise, because addition by subtraction is just that. And we've talked about this already. What are we able to subtract in terms of what we're thinking, in terms of what we're believing, in terms of what we're doing? What are some things we're able to subtract or transition away from and shift to other things that will propel us in what we're trying to do, right? All right, so just a little fun with you all. What does this picture say to you as it might relate to addition by subtraction? I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to let you look at the picture and type your response in the chat. What does this picture say to you as it might relate to addition by subtraction? What does it say to you? Go ahead and type your response in the chat. Okay, anxiety diminishes with this concept. Okay, all right, that's good. What does this picture say to you as it might relate to addition by subtraction? Let me go ahead and share this with you. When I look at this picture, one of the things I see, because I'm a person that thinks about organizational leadership a lot, right? And how organizations run even well beyond the scope of education and business. I think about how do organizations run, how do they operate, how do high performing organizations operate, whether they're startups, whether they're medium-sized businesses or large entities. And what I look at here is over on the left-hand side where you see all of the wires just like jumbled up together, right? I think that sometimes that is really a visual for how our organizations are, whatever the organizations are in the public sector, or maybe even in the private sector, is we're doing a lot of different things and we're all in all these different places and there's a lot of activity going on, but I don't necessarily know that we have a clear path ahead of us. And sometimes in order for us to get that clear path, there's some things that we have to subtract. There's some things that we have to put off to the side. There's some things that we have to clear out so we can say, you know what? I can see a clear path forward, because in the midst of doing a lot of different things, you can become lost in that activity and forget your way and forget your path. That happens to organizations. It has happened over the years to businesses. They're doing a lot of things, but there's not clarity, right? And so that's really what that picture says to me. I like that. Let's go ahead and look at, let's see, the more you stick to something, the easier it looks. Okay, yeah, I like that, Patsy. Yeah, because guess what happens? As you're looking at this picture and you're saying, okay, you know what, this is really not the way this should be operating. We should have some focus. We should be going in a certain and a very defined and deliberate direction. You see that the picture helps you to transition your perspective, and it helps you to see it from a different perspective. Let's see what ICL says here. He says COVID-19 subtracted a lot of things we didn't need. Yes, world things we didn't need. At the end of the day, it's all about family and friends and staying connected with them. Right on, my brother. I give you some props on that one. That is great. I like that. Yes, yes, yes. ICL. Yeah. How many of you know that, and I love that ICL brought that up. So happy to have you here, ICL, on the call. I respect you deeply, my friend, and I treasure our friendship. You elevate me and make me a better person and a better leader in all realms. And I will say this, how many of us have found ourselves, right? And I'm holding my hand up. I'm holding my hand up here on the call. How many of us have found ourselves probably more like the left side of the slide than the right side of the slide in life, right? Just being very honest, transparent, and real with you. How many of us have found ourselves like that left-hand side of the slide, where we're going in a lot of different directions, we're doing a lot of different things, but we're kind of like, wow, like I've become lost in all of this activity. Where am I going? What am I trying to do? Maybe I've even forgotten about what I'm trying to accomplish. And then somehow, some way, we get a different perspective, which says, in this case, looking at the slide, hey, if you're over here on the left, let's go ahead and take a look at what's on the right hand side. And we start to see a path. And when we start to see that path, we start to say, you know what? Focus, clarity, being deliberate. I've heard a lot of people talk about being intentional and being deliberate. Well, you have to have focus and you have to have a clearly designed path for that. Because if you don't, guess what happens, right? You have to do that in an active way. If you don't have that in a passive way, we shift back over to what the left part of the slide is, where there's a lot of activity happening, but I don't know that there's any clear defined path on the left-hand side, pardon me. But when we shift to the right-hand side of the picture, wow, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clearly defined paths. We do. James says, I think this sums up remote learning for me. Yeah, I will tell you that pretty much all of us, right? We did not foresee all of this happening with remote learning. And all of us at one point in time, as the pandemic spread and really forced all educational entities to change how they serve students and families in the community, we all found ourselves on the left-hand side. But notice, and this is a real live leadership lesson, notice over the time, as time has progressed, some people maybe are still kind of over there on the left-hand side. Some people have maybe said, you know what, Vernon, I started over on the left-hand side, but I figured some things out, got connected with a lot of people, got involved in a lot of different dialogues, and now I'm finding myself more on the right-hand side as we go forward. Now I have maybe the advantage of what I didn't have before, which was much more for me like a clearly defined, what I think is a clearly defined path. And I think that is great. Okay, let's see. Pause, reevaluate, and focus. Yes, lots of good attention, but lots of frustration. That indeed can happen. Yes, Asiel, it is my pleasure, my man. Absolutely my pleasure and my honor. COVID-19 has made me a better leader. I always wanted to host an edu conference for my staff, and I've been able to do this summer. Summer series of virtual speakers. Hashtag define yourself. Thank you for sharing that, Asiel. Great series. And I love being in spaces where people are innovative and leaders are about connecting people with not just information, but revelation. Let me say that one again, not just information, but revelation. Because what is information? Information is good to know. Revelation tells you what's the deeper thing of it. So then you can do what? You can do the application. So let me say that again. Information is good. It's the stuff you need to know. Revelation is, I've had this information, but what does it mean on a deeper level? Once I have the information, I get the revelation. I'm then able to do what? I'm able to do the application, which is what? Using the information in the revelation for a specific purpose and a defined purpose and a defined intent. In other words, what have we been talking about here on this slide? A clear path. Good stuff. Good stuff. You guys are phenomenal. Phenomenal group. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so question for you in the chat. I'm not going to say anything, right? I promise this time. How fast are things moving in this picture? Go ahead and type in the chat. Oh, okay. Yeah. Too fast, too furious. Yeah. Good one there. I see. I like that one. Really fast in multiple directions, but orderly. That says Patsy. Lisa says too fast. Yes, Bankole says really fast. Absolutely. And can I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I probably have foretold and really given you some significant clues as to my one of the styles. It's not the only, but one of the styles of my learning, which is visual. I like to look at pictures and really ask myself, what is the picture telling me? And I think a lot of times, if I could just really be very authentic with you all, that I've seen a lot of educators, great people over the years, doing phenomenal work. I've seen them bring themselves to this point where they're moving very, very fast. And really, to really echo what Lisa said, they're really moving too fast. What all of you have said, Asiel said too fast, too furious. Banko said really fast. Patty says big city, fast-paced life. And that's all good and that's all great, right? Um, I started out my career in a district with over 150,000 students, and so I know about the big city a little bit, right? But when we get to this point where we're moving and we're doing so many things and we're moving so quickly and we're moving so fast, it's kind of like the previous graphic. That's where we have to, as a community, really ask ourselves in the PLN and beyond, is to say, hey, how are we moving with this? Like, are we moving too fast? Do we need to slow down? Do we need to look at things? Because sometimes what people would say, which is slowing down, which is subtraction of speed, right? Subtraction of velocity, subtraction of speed. They would say subtraction of speed. How can that be addition? Well, if you're subtracting or decreasing speed, or there's a subtraction of speed, guess what happens? Maybe it gives you time to gain clarity and direction. Whereas maybe if you continue to go so fast, you couldn't really see that. So sometimes you have to slow down for a second or two so you can really understand what's happening. So you can really be, what did we say before? And it was from the previous session, but we shared it in this session, so that you can be relevant. You can be pertinent. You can understand what's going on, right? Alignment is one of the keys to success. Many are taking action, but are those actions aligned with who they are and their goals? If not, it could potentially be a situation for addition by subtraction. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, you may even know some individuals that this applies to professionally. You may even know some individuals that this applies to personally. And if you do, when you engage those individuals, or maybe you continue the dialogue that you've been having with them, feel free to share with them, the possibility that, this might be an addition by subtraction situation. Because we can become so busy with doing so many different things that we're not really doing much of anything. Let me say that one again. We can become so busy with doing a lot of different things that we really can, as an end result, not really accomplish anything. And that's not the goal at all. Remember, what did we say earlier? Connect, impact, scale. I want to make a connection. I want to have an authentic impact, really add value, and then I want to scale, right? So now it's time. It's time. My friends, here on this session, and those that are watching this replay, it's time for us to break out. And it's time for us to reconnect with who we are and what we're collaboratively set about accomplishing with others. In other words, succinctly stated, it's time to switch the system. So when people say, you know what, man, I see that you have really been sharpening your skills and your thinking and your perspectives and all of this over the summer, which everyone should be doing. Again, quick little plug for Global EdTech Academy, q.org/Microsoft, because it provides us opportunities to go ahead and do this. And when they say that to you and they say, man, wow, this is different. This is not the person that I knew when we were, even last spring, we were going through the COVID-19 distance learning experience. You can simply say to them, it's time to switch the system. It's time to switch the system. And for some of those individuals, maybe it's time for them to switch the system in their personal lives as well. How do we paint our life masterpiece going forward? How do we do this, right? So, I will tell you that I've been to many different trainings, professional development sessions, and the such, and facsimiles thereof over the years, right? And I've been to some that were really, really good, some maybe not so good. But I have wondered at the end of many of those sessions, okay, I'm really hyped up. I'm really excited. I'm wanting to buy into this. What do I do next? And I was left with enthusiasm, but no steps for action. Let me say that again. I was left with enthusiasm, but no steps for action. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and give you a few quick steps and a few things to think about as we come to the end and the close of our time together today. We need to become aligned. We need to help others become aligned. And then we need to use our voices to create communities and spaces that are aligned. This applies not only to talking to and addressing issues of equity on not only the national but global stage. It applies to every part of our lives. So what do I have to do? So you say, okay, Vernon, what's my next step? Well, your next step this weekend is to ask yourself and your own reflection. Am I aligned? Am I doing things that aren't aligned with who I am, with what my visions and my dreams and my goals are? And then once I get myself together, guess what? Guess what I have this mandate to do as a part of society? Help others to become aligned. There's that scale. Did you see that? You had an impact with yourself. You connected with yourself. You gave yourself the time to and the opportunity to have the introspection. You had an impact on your own thinking. And then you help others to become aligned. That's scale. And then what's scale beyond that? You create communities where other people are aligned. Wow, what a wonderful contribution. It's time for fusion. It's time for a coming together and a creation of safe spaces where we can encourage, uplift, and inform each other. But guess what happens? Not doing so might separate us even further. So you see the smoke come together. That's fusion. It's a coming together. But guess what happens next? It pulls apart. And that's really where we are right now in this world. We have this opportunity to come together. We have this opportunity to live out fusion. We have this opportunity to really live this thing where we come together and say, you know what? Let's do this. Finally, let's do this on equity. Finally, let's do this on revolutionizing what we know as education. Let's do this on many other things. And we're coming together. And my hope is that we don't do what this slide does after those two things come together, which is pull apart. One of your next actions is really to share with those with you that, hey, let's come together. Let's stay together. Let's advocate for students, communities, and families. Let's not be away from each other in this effort. The quiet power. Some of you may do this right now. Some of you maybe not. You need to give yourself time daily to meditate and reflect. It's the key to connecting with, learning about, and living out your alignment and vision. You might say, you know what, Vernon, I really, to be very honest with you, between you and me and no one else, I really don't necessarily know what alignment means to me. I don't even know what my life's vision is right now in my life. That's one of the next steps for you. And guess how you can start to learn more about that? Giving yourself time, quiet time, daily. It's very, very powerful, very powerful. How can I start to build trust? We shared this before in the last session, and I wanted to go ahead and include it here. Building trust is everything because that's how we share stories with each other in advance. So you might say, you know what, Vernon, I didn't catch the last session. Of course, if you didn't catch it, go to q.org/GETA recording, and you can go ahead and watch that. But if you didn't catch it, which I know you will, and you're saying here in this session, how can I build trust? Why is trust even a part of this? Trust is a part of it, and trust is important. Why? Because I can't really get aligned in a collaborative sense with someone and what the vision or the mission is of an organization, of a school, of a business, of whatever it is. I can't get aligned with that if I don't really know where the person stands, if I don't really know what they're about. So in other words, what has to happen? I need to hear their story and invite them to hear mine. But that only comes with trust. How many of you know you find out the real story about someone when they trust you? So we have to be building trust. So you say, okay, Vernon, that's great. You did what you just said, what had been done to you over the years in those professional development sessions. You hyped me up, you got me excited, but you didn't leave me with anything that I could use as next steps. Well, that's what this is. The big three questions. I shared this before, am sharing this with you again, and have shared it over the years with leaders literally around the country. I love these three questions right now. Three questions. If you're in any type of leadership, have any type of influence, these are the three questions you need to be asking people at least once a week that you serve in some form or fashion. This also works in your personal life as well. A little bit different with the vision and mission once we get to the end, the third question. But let's go through the three real quick. What are you working on right now that you're absolutely passionate about? I've had so many educators tell me over the years at various levels, Vernon, I wish someone had asked me that before you had. What a phenomenal question. If someone had asked me that, I would have just said to them, man, I'm just ready to tell them volumes, Vernon, about what I'm so excited about. I really wish someone would engage me on that level right now. What are you working on that you're absolutely passionate about? Number two, why is that meaningful to you and what impact do you think it can have? This values who individuals are, not only their work, but the value that you think their work can bring about. That's impact and scale. And what difference do you think it makes as it relates to the school district's vision and mission? People need to know that they're connected. They need to know that they're connected. Next steps, what does this look like? What role do I play? We'll go to the bottom line. The bottom line is this: addition by subtraction isn't just a good idea, it's an essential part of our reflections and refinement in all areas of our life. We must come together and use our voices to build communities and safe spaces where we uplift, encourage, and inform. That's how we move forward. It's not just taking action alone, but aligned action that is the key to achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure to be with you. Of course, as it says there, I am Vernon Wright at sign the right leader on Twitter. What a pleasure. What a phenomenal group you all have been today. So honored. For those of you watching the replay, honored that you would choose to watch the replay and spend time with us. As you're sharing out today, anything that's been impactful to you, that's resonated with you, that you said, you know what, Vernon, man, I just have to share this with other people. I want to share this on Twitter. Make sure that you tag me on it. Would love that. Of course, make sure you use the hashtags at the bottom, Microsoft EDU, hashtag GETA, and hashtag WeAreQ. If you're wanting to go ahead and plug into some of the other sessions today and going forward as part of Global EdTech Academy, which I highly recommend, I'm connecting into those sessions as well. And I'm one of the speakers, and I'm learning as well. Come join us. Go to q.org/Microsoft. And if you're looking to watch the session replays, go to q.org/GETA recording, as you see there on the screen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you. I am honored. I am